Have you ever looked at a show or a movie and you're like, how do they film that? How do they get such clean video? How do you get beautiful video, beautiful images on your YouTube? In this video, I am going to give you the exact settings that you need to get the best video possible for your DSLR. So, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and let's get into the video. Hey, this is Desena and welcome to my channel. I run a photography company called Harper Visuals. I'm based in New York. On my channel, I do vlogs, I do video reviews, I do how-to videos like gear and things like that. So if you're new here, consider subscribing and hit that like button. If you're curious about the gear that I use for my photography work or for YouTube, I will have all the links in my description bar below. So let's jump into this tutorial. So DSLRs, mirrorless cameras, and even your phone, they can produce great, and I mean great videos if you know what you're doing. Sometimes it's hard to get those settings right, so you might wonder, how do you produce that shot? How did they get the scene to look like that in the movie? Well, it's all about your settings. It's all about your camera settings, and that is what we're going to focus on in this video. Just remember, the order of your settings is just as important as the application. So the first thing that you want to focus on is your frame rate, and in order to show you that, I am going to show you on my camera. I'm filming on my phone right now, so I'm going to flip it around. Okay, so like I stated before, I am filming on my phone, and I am going to show you how to have the proper settings on your camera. So my camera's on. I'm just going to put my display on. The first thing that you want to focus on in your video is your frame rate. So you'll see here that I have two options. I have 30 frames per second and I have 24 frames per second. I typically shoot in 24 frames. And the reason why I do that, I mean, obviously it is the industry standard, but the reason why I shoot in 24 frames per second is just because it's easier and it gives you the most natural look. It gives you the most natural look. So once your frame rate is set, you can move on to your shutter speed. So you'll see here, I set mine, it's already at 24 frames per second. But now I'm going to set my shutter speed. So your shutter speed is responsible for getting smooth motion, and that's this number right here. It's responsible for getting smooth motion in your video. Now, you'll see here the lowest number that my shutter speed goes to is 30, and the highest that it goes to is 4,000. So typically what you want to keep in mind is your shutter speed is double your frame rate. So if my frame rate is 24, ideally I want a shutter speed of 48. Because I film on a Canon T6, my shutter speed would be 50, so you want to get as close to that number as possible. So right here I have it set to 50. One thing that you do want to keep in mind is, just making sure that you have double. So next is aperture. Aperture is responsible for the focus on a shot. For those curious, my camera keeps going out because I have it set on a timer. So for aperture basically focuses on the shot. As you could see, I have a photo in front of me and it's nice and blurry, right? So I'm gonna put this in focus. Aperture, it's quite interesting. Oh, I also have natural light coming from my window. So the lower Okay, let me just redo this. Okay, so my subject for this lovely demonstration is my stuffed animal Domo. Right here. Just gonna put that in focus. And we're just gonna look at the legs because I have my camera on a box of lights. So the next thing that you want to focus on is aperture. Aperture is responsible for the focus of the subject. The lower the number, like the lower your aperture, the blurrier your background is going to be. And obviously the higher the number, the more in focus. So as you could see, like the lights, not the lights, but like my mirror over here, this is not in focus, but Domo is in focus. Right there, see? Cool. So my aperture is set to 4.0. I typically do the lowest number. Keep in mind that the lower your aperture, the better you'll get an image in low light situations. So if you're filming at nighttime, you do want a pretty low aperture. The highest my camera goes to is 25. So I'm just gonna set this back down to 4.0. And this is what I have. Lastly, you want to focus on your ISO. Think of your ISO as the sunglasses of your camera. ISO controls how much light is let into the camera, so that can affect your image. Your ISO is right here. The lowest that my ISO goes to, the lowest my ISO goes to is 100 and the highest is 6400. If you're shooting outside, you typically want that number at 200 just because the sun provides its own light. Because I'm indoors and I'm using the natural light from my window, I have mine set to 400 right here. Now, a pro tip that you can do is white balance. So white balance helps with your skin tones. As you can see, Domo is pink, I'm brown. But white balance helps with your skin tones. It helps to make sure that everything is even. If you have a lighter skin and a darker skin actor in your video, you want to make sure that they both look normal. So one way that you can do that is you can set your white balance. You can either use a white piece of paper if you don't have a film card. These white balance card sheets here, I don't remember how much I bought these for, but the whole point of setting your white balance is to make sure that you have the correct skin tones and that everyone looks normal. So one way that you can do that is set it properly. If you don't have these white card sheets, you can also just use a blank piece of paper. Mine's, they come in 3 different colors here. I have black, white, and gray. For these purposes, I'm going to show you the difference of how it's set in white and how it's set in gray. Typically you do use the white though. So I'm going to go to my camera settings here. If you look currently, what you want to do is you want to take your white balance card and you want to take a picture of it. So I'm going to just set that in focus. And oh, I forgot to put my thing back in video. I usually shoot on manual, so I have to just put this here for a second. Okay. So let's change these settings really quick. Okay. Now I have one that I like. I actually like this. Pull it back a little. Okay, I'm satisfied with that image. Now I'm gonna switch it back to video. Get that back. So you're gonna go in your settings to change the white balance. You go to custom white balance and you pick your image. As you can see here, I took a few. Some are lighter and some are darker. I am actually going to go with the last one. I'll go with this one. So now it tells you set your white balance to custom. So we go back to our screen. And you just pick custom. And now this is the proper, you could see here that my domo is set in its proper pink. And this is actually, because you know my domo is pink, so this is their skin tone. This is what is set for their skin. I have my camera settings in faithful. Let's just put it in portrait for now. Okay, yeah. This is typically what it would look like, and as a result, this is what you would get. I'm going to flip my screen and show you how it would look on a human. So just give me 1 second. So I do have a little bit of daylight from my window interfering with this, but this is the white balance set using the gray card, and then I'm going to show you it's set in the white card. Mind you, I don't have any external lights up. I'm only using light from the window. This is how I look with the white. So there is a bit of a yellow tinge to it. There are other settings, like other factors in play that do affect why that tinge is there. So those are the camera settings that you would need to get the best possible video on your DSLR camera, mirrorless, or your phone. If you appreciated the knowledge in this video, I would appreciate it if you hit that like button and subscribe so that you know when I post more videos. I'm very active on Instagram and on TikTok, so I will have the links to that down below in the description bar. But thank you for watching my video and have a good one.